Welcome to Chris and Walt's Top 10 show where we count down the top 10 covers to something. I am Walt.
And I am Chris.
And Chris, we're honored today to have as our special guest Ivan Kocmarek. And Ivan is going to guide us through the top 10 Canadian white Weka book Bell feature covers. Welcome, Ivan.
Hey, welcome, guys. Welcome, Chris and Walt, and I'm happy to be here. Let's see what we can do.
Thank you for joining us today. This is going to be awesome.
Now, Ivan, we're going to ask you for a quick recap of Weka Comics and the Bell feature Weka Comics.
Well, these are Canadian wartime comics. They existed from 1941 to 46 because the government banned American comics from coming into the country, and Canada started to develop its own comics. And then when the war ended, the American comics started to come back, and this temporary comic industry started to fade. So that's what they're about.
So these are now chosen by you, the top 10 covers of the Canadian whites of the Bell features only. Now, we are only doing Bell features.
Well, yeah, you see there are altogether about 780 different comics during that 6-year period. That's just a little bit more than, say, the classic Batman run. And of these, there are 4 main publishers, so we're cutting down to about maybe 250 comics to look at each publisher. And this is the first one is Bell, who was in Toronto, and we'll take a look at the top 10 covers I picked from there.
Perfect.
All right, hey, great time to let everybody know that this video is sponsored by Ice Collectibles. Please visit icecollectibles.com. It's Canada's best place to sell your collectibles. All right, Chris, let's start.
All right, here we go. Starting at number 10, Mando Comics number 11 by Adrian Dingle.
Yeah, he did a lot of the covers because he was the art director, and he didn't trust many of the artists with covers, so he did the majority of them. And this, for me, is a classic Canadian comic cover because, as I said, there were war comics, not just because they had war stories in them, but because they were made by the war and lived as long as the war was on. And this is a paratrooper, a Canadian paratrooper, jumping down with all these other parachutes in the background. A classic cover for me that describes what these comics were about.
Perfect. Wonderful. Number 9, Active Comics number 20, again by Adrian Dingle.
Yeah, so you see what he's doing. This is a hockey cover, which is a rarity in comics, and it's the only one I can think of in Canadian comics. And this happened because Cy Bell, the publisher of Bell Features, bought a midget hockey team in Toronto and started promoting hockey in these few issues of Active Comics from about 19 to about 22 to promote his own team called the Panthers. So we get this hockey cover, which I think the colors are great and the action is good. And Dingle did it.
That's pretty sneaky when you ask me, but I like his style. And the only thing I'd say about that is that goalie is way too pretty to be a goalie with no mask.
Especially when they had no masks in those
Right.
days.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what that means? He was a terrible goalie. Didn't stop anything with his face.
well, Dingle was a Welshman. He probably didn't know much about hockey and
Fair
just
enough.
did this like this.
Number 8, Joke Comics number 23, again by Dingle.
And this is a wing cover. Often superhero will make comics, and this is one of the few superhero comic covers in Canadian comics. And joke comics often gets put down because people think it's just funny jokes all the time, but they had a lot of superheroes in there, and this is a prime one of the wing.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's what we would consider like a classic cover, wouldn't it be? Like it's just such a simple cover, but when your heroine is the predominant feature of the cover, and it's just a beautiful pose, it's just a great cover.
They used the same cover on FBI Comics in 1946 because it was such a great cover.
Oh.
Slightly different color scheme.
Interesting.
Copycats.
Copycats, yeah. No, that's a great cover. I love the character. I love everything about this cover. This is great. Okay, let's keep going here. Number 7, Active Comics number 26, again by Dingle.
29, actually.
Oh,
That's
29. Sorry,
29.
my bad.
And this was after the American comics had come back. So this cover, even though it's a Dingle cover and a great science experimental, cover with a woman in the background and the guy he almost looks like a Black Hawk to me, undergoing this chemical treatment that he's going. By this time, Active Comics had just funny animals in it.
Right.
But the cover was still a Dingle cover, and that makes this whole book, I think. This is a classic cover.
Right. This has a bit of a feel of those American comics with, the mad scientist doing something
Yeah.
to somebody. It has that golden age, USA feel to it
Yeah,
for me.
reminds me of that comic, The Weekender, where you had the crazy mad scientist in the background
Right,
or
yeah.
in the
I think that was a
foreground.
Canadian comic too, though,
It
wasn't
I
was, but
think
it
you're
was,
right.
they
Yeah.
used a Chesler cover, so it was an American cover.
Okay, interesting.
So
All right.
that proves it.
Yep,
it? All right,
perfect.
great cover. I like
Great
this one.
cover. Yeah, I love it. All right, number 6, Unusual Comics number 1.
This is a perfect science fiction cover for me, done in 1946 when comics really didn't concentrate on science fiction as much as they did in the later 40s and early 50s. And this is Fred Kelly, so this is not Dingle. And just the whole shape of it with the air helmet made out of glass and the women warriors who are confronting the hero, fantastic.
Right, and that kind of Aurora
Yeah,
Borealis
exactly.
types thing going
Yeah.
on. And even, you know what you don't mention a lot in terms of when you look at a comic cover, and honestly, sometimes the impact of the masts, the title
Yeah.
Yeah,
masts.
yeah.
Sometimes the title masts are so cool, and sometimes they're whatever. I kind of like the way that Unusual Comics kind of presents itself on this
Well, what's
paper.
unusual about that comic is that there's nothing inside of it to do with that cover. It's all American reprints.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah, I do. I also really love the title.
Yeah, it's a great cover.
Great cover.
All right, let's move along.
All right, number 5, Wow Comics number 18.
Now, this is another Dingle cover, and it's the first Penguin cover. He actually appeared in the previous issue. So this is probably about the third cover
Mhm.
that was done with a penguin. And it's a great smash across a pointy-chinned, bearded villain that he's just
No good for
yeah,
No
nothing
good,
doing me.
Nick.
hoodlum.
Yeah.
And the penguin had no superpower. He was just like Batman, but he had this funny mask, which was a big beak on it. I don't know how he walked around, and he was the secret millionaire playboy underneath. We never found out during the run of the comic who he was and what he looked like.
Oh, really? Never. That's interesting.
We need some sort of resurrection
Yeah.
reveal.
Ho-Chi Anderson's working on that. That's his favorite character.
Now, pardon if I interject, Ivan. You're much more the uh, historian on this kind of stuff. I think you should pick his alter ego, not Ho Chi Anderson.
We'll see.
Okay, all right.
Number 4, Triumph Adventure number. Is that number
Two.
1? Number
Number
2.
two.
Number
Number 2,
2.
we're
Yeah.
back to
Sorry.
another Dingle cover.
Stunning.
And this is the second issue of Triumph Comics. So it's probably about September of 1941. And those 1941, that first year of these comics from that are hard to find.
Yeah, super rare.
And this is Vanna on the cover. And you'll be surprised to learn that that Great Dane she's riding on there is her brother called Tenero.
Oh, interesting.
But he
Okay.
can't show himself to regular humans. I mean, the Eskimos, the Inuit can see him, but if he sees white people around or people from the south, he can't show himself. He has to become that Great Dane.
Wow.
Interesting. Cool.
Now, this would be the first Nelvana cover because her first appearance was in Triumph Adventure 1,
Right,
which
exactly.
didn't have her on the cover.
And what you'll notice are a couple of differences about the way she became later. That cloak of hers, the cape looks like almost a bearskin, doesn't
Mhm.
it?
Right.
Yeah.
And it became just sort of a regular cape later.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very kind of Art Deco-y in a way, like
It's just
simplicity
two
of it.
colors.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
just use
beautiful.
that.
All right.
All right. Very cool. All right. Number 3, Speed Savage.
Oh, I like
This
this.
is a great one.
There's a 1945 cover, and what's weird about Speed Savage is that that's not the name of the hero. The hero, the guy in the costume, is called the White Mask.
Right.
Speed Savage is his normal identity before he becomes the White Mask, and Speed Savage is a sportsman extraordinaire. He goes around
Okay.
Canada entering tournaments for skiing, for golf, for boat races, all sorts of stuff. And here, car races, just like you see on the cover.
I love this cover. This is such a great cover to
It's
me.
a skull cover.
I love the skull cover, but I also love the added effect of the dice in the as the eyes of the skull. I've not, I haven't. I don't think I've ever seen that before, and this is a great little interesting piece to that cover.
Wow, yeah, that is a fantastic cover.
And I got to mention, this is a Ted Steele cover, so it's another non-Dingle cover.
It don't yell at me, but a little Kirby-esque in that. I see a bit of Kirby in the hero, like
Well,
maybe on
yeah,
the legs.
Steele wasn't that good of a draftsman. His guys were stretched the way Kirby
Right,
characters are
yeah,
stretched.
Yeah, yeah,
Come at you.
All right.
cool. All right, number 2, Wow Comics number 26.
Yes.
One of my favorite covers. This is a character created by Jerry Lazar, though it's a Dingle cover. And again, there's a hint of sort of death in the skull with that skeletal hand holding those four aces.
Mm.
Right.
But this cover I used for my hard copy book on Old Bell Features comics called Heroes of the Homefront.
Yep.
And it's just powerful the way that heroes are running out. The dreamer just dreamed crimes that were coming. He saw them coming in the future. And that was his power.
Yeah, this is a great cover. Um, Classic pose, classic running hero pose. You've seen that a million times. And again, Bingle hogging the spotlight.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Ivan's spotlight.
Ah, I love it. This is a great cover. All right, here we go. Drum roll, please, for number one. Here we go. Now, Vanna of the Northern Lights.
Without question, the big character from all the old Canadian comics is Nelvana. She's the most sought after, and this is one of the highest achieving comics from that period in terms of value.
Yes.
And this is a compendium which brought a lot of her stories together in 1945 after she'd been around for 5 years already.
Hmm.
And it's just, again, the aurora in the background, the north of Canada, her flying pose, that classic hero flying pose across northern Canada with the aurora borealis in the background. It's just a fantastic cover.
You know what? And this is a famous cover, Ivan. I think Canada Post in their 1995 series of Canadian superheroes, this was a Canadian stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right about that. Yeah.
Very, very collectible in that sense as well. Fantastic. Yeah, this would have been my pick for the number one Weka era.
Well, good thing that Ivan picked it for you. That's
Yeah,
good.
that way there's no argument.
There's no argument. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, good.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, listen, this is a great time to remind everybody to please go down and hit that. I think it's the like button, then I think it's the subscribe button, and then I think there's like a follow me button. And all those buttons help us with our video. They help the YouTube algorithm, and it helps our channel. So we'd appreciate that. All right, Chris, let's try to review the day here, Ivan. So fantastic covers, super, all of them just so rare. These Canadian wartime era books are impossible to find, aren't they?
Yeah, if you look at the census, is not more than two or three, usually one of each in the
Oh, wow.
census. So you're looking at really rare copies.
Right. Now, of these that you have pictured, what would be the toughest one to track down, do you think?
Um, Probably that second issue of Triumph.
Yeah.
That's the one I'd say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, amazing books. Amazing books. I love the hockey cover.
Yeah.
I love that penguin cover. I love that wing cover. I mean, the Nelvana cover speaks for itself. It's just that sci-fi cover is great. These are all just, it's hard to pick, right? I mean, there's 20, 30 other great covers that you didn't
Well, this
even.
is, I hope people will send in the comments, what their favorite cover is. Maybe
Right.
they'll differ, maybe they'll agree, but it'd be nice to see what they have to say.
Right. Now, hey, I have to interject here, do a little shameless plug for Ivan. You are still working on that fantastic idea that you had with it's almost like a Gerber guide to the Canadian Weka era comics, where you have a large coffee table style book where you have all 780-ish covers, almost like 98% of them presented in a beautiful glossy color presentation. How's that coming along?
It's in production right now. We're working with Raid Studios, and we hope to have it out in time for Toronto Comic Con and TCAP for next year, 2025.
Cool. Awesome.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. That's great. Ivan, thank you so much for being and participating in this one with us. Hope you had some fun.
I did. What was that strange tweet bird that we kept dropping in all the time?
Yeah, we don't want to.
We don't want to talk about that.
We don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Listen, it's another great time to ask everybody to appreciate the fact that these videos are brought to us by Ice Collectibles. Please visit icecollectibles.com and click on the link we've provided below.
Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.